Hi, and welcome back to the Millinery Studio. Today's lesson is about how to make a pattern for the crown of the Newsboy Hat. So there is lots of things you're going to need, but simple things I'm going to show you. Hi, and welcome back to the Millinery Studio. As you can see, I have a new studio, and I've got some new equipment. So we're going to dive in today learning how to make the crown pattern for your Newsboy hat from scratch. No pattern, nothing. We're just going to have two methods. You could use both, you could use either of them. It doesn't really matter. All you need are a few pieces of equipment, simple things you probably have around your house. Things like paper of any kind. I used the computer paper and I taped it together to make a bigger piece of paper. You need pencil, eraser, definitely a ruler, at least 30 centimeters long. If not, a little bit longer is good. You also need a dressmaker's measuring tape. So if you're a sewer, you probably already have one of these. One of these guys. You need one of these. You'll see later on why and when we use it. You can also get a square, so a math set. I know the last time I was showing you how to do some things, the math set was actually a compass and it was like real fancy. This is a dollar store math set because I wanted these. I already have a compass. I mean, a compass is a compass. I had a I think it was a sculpture professor many years ago who told me that as long as you use the same measuring tool, it's right. It's when you switch measuring tools, and sometimes, especially if your measuring tools aren't so great, might not be that accurate. So what you actually need is this little guy. That little guy, because we want to be able to make a nice 90-degree angle. Now, you know me, you can be a little bit chaotic, a little bit less precise. If you're comfortable being less precise, be less precise. Sewing allows you to have a little bit of leeway there. So we're going to talk about how to develop the shapes for your crowns, and those are the triangle shapes. So we have rounded shapes, and then we have very pointy shapes that are very long. Now, this one refers to, I'm just going to pull it out, this one, which we showed in the last video, and it has a quite big round crown that is about 30 centimeters in diameter. And it also has returns. You can see the shoulder to here, which gives you the space for the back of your head, but also makes it sit out from the side. Yep, that's the side. So it makes it sit out from the side, it makes it sit out, and then around. And that is, I get my finger on it, that is this shape. And this is the shoulder here. So this is the part of the hat here where it bends is the shoulder. And the more sharply angled and pointy the shoulder is, the more the hat will bend and lay flatter. If you wanted a hat that was rounder shaped, then you need a pattern that's shaped more like this one. Don't confuse me with my writing. Those are just my notes for my hat. I'll show you, that is a hat like this, and you can see how round it is. This one has a band on the bottom as opposed to no band. We'll go over that later. But this one, the shoulder, you can see if I can, okay, let's see if I can hold it this way. The shoulder, I can hold it, it's actually right about here. It's a very rounded shoulder. And so the piece isn't as long because it doesn't have to go out and then back. It just rounds around the head. And that gives the whole hat a rounded look. Put this on my head. All right. So that's a little bit, this hat's quite large on me. But you can see, if I take the button at the top and pull it, you can kind of see the shape I'm talking about. And you can see that I don't have this flat disc on the top. It's this rounded sort of shape. And so the things you can do with it are different. I can pull it all forward. I'm actually just holding it at the back tightly because this was too big for me. So you can hold it forward, you can pull it all the way back, but you have a lot less fabric on the top. And we'll talk about how we make that shape, and we'll also talk about how we make this shape. Really similar, but slight differences. So I think what we'll do is we'll talk about how to make this shape first, because this hat on my head actually fits me. Okay, so as you can see with this hat, there's the button here. It's actually not, so if I put it back on my crown, and it's immediately center top of my head, that's where that is, which is similar to where the one I just had on, the brown one. So you can see the shape of the hat. Now, a lot of people feel that this is a really classic newsboy. If I really pull it down, it's actually touching the top of my ears. I have a little head. So you can see the shape that I have a lot of space here, but on the sides, and I'll come in a little bit, you can see all this extra. I got my thumb all the way in there before I touch the side of my head. So I have all that space before the hat comes back, and that allows the volume of the hat to move around. Now it's tacked at the front here, so I don't get as much going to the back. I can pull it a lot more forward. The brim is actually disappeared under the hat. So let's start with this one. I'll show you the two basic techniques for doing it if you don't have any patterns and you don't have any measurements. As I said, this one is 30 centimeters approximately in diameter of a circle. So the easiest thing to do is to draw a circle of 30 centimeters in diameter. You can use your compass, you can draw an X and point, and then draw here, and just keep crossing that point and measure out your diameter of 30 centimeters, and then measure from your center point to your radius, which would be half of 30 centimeters, 15 centimeters, and then just keep measuring out 15 centimeters, and then connect your lines. That gives you measurement from here to here. Now let's just assume that we made a 30 centimeter circle, however you want to make it. And that means we know that the circle, so from the shoulder to the center, is half of the diameter, the radius of the circle, which is 15 centimeters. So I've drawn my triangle, and then I left enough room on the paper that I drew from there and just went straight down to the bottom of the paper. This is, let me just quickly measure, because it's completely arbitrary. This is about 8 centimeters. You can always add to it, you can always take it away. So this is going to help you determine from the shoulder to the head. No word of a lie. Don't have any maths, don't have patterns, this is how you do it. You're going to take the bottom of it, and you're going to put it about 1 centimeter above your ear. And we're going to grab the top right at the tip, and you're going to put it right in the center of the top of your head. Now you can see that it's a bit puffy. Now fabric doesn't quite behave like that. So I'm going to do a light fold. I'm not like really hard folding it. I'm just lightly folding it. Because of course paper doesn't quite behave the same way as fabric. So there, above my ear into the center of my head. And I'm going to look in the mirror and say, oh, well, I kind of like the way, this is your first shot at it. I kind of like the way, that's not too bad. That's pretty good. So then you're going to, oh, I kind of like that. All right, place to start. If you cut it too short, you'll see that it hugs your head too much. It doesn't stick out enough. Cut it too long, you're going to have this huge thing. So because I was never very good at math, I'm going to take that triangle and I'm going to fold it in half lengthwise. So all I did was fold it in half lengthwise. Now that gives me my center line. And I'm going to very quickly, a marker for you guys to see. You guys do not use markers, use pencils. I use markers because you guys can't really see pencils. So if my marks look off, don't worry about it. If you did it in pencil, it would be correct. But you guys can't see pencil. All right. So there's my center line. And you're going to need this center line because it's going to help you to determine the width of this. So the next thing you're going to do, now that you're like, yeah, okay, I like the length of this. This is pretty good. But what about my width? You have your 8 pieces. I'm going to use 56 centimeters because that's your size 7 in North American sizes. If you're from other parts of the world, this is what I know. So that's why we talk about centimeters. So 56 centimeters is your head circumference measurement. You have 8 pieces that you decided on to make an 8-paneled newsboy. You need to figure out, how big is this? So you take your head size, 56 centimeters, whatever it is, and divide it by how many pieces. 8. That way you get 7 centimeters. From this point, you then divide 7 in half, which is 3.5, and you go 3.5 centimeters this way and 3.5 centimeters this way and get your 7 centimeters. So now you can see, and I'll hold it up, you can see my mark. So this distance to this distance is 7 centimeters. I have equally divided 7 centimeters from my center line. As you can see, I've taken some computer paper and I'm just taping it together here, just with some Scotch tape to make a larger piece of paper so I can make that 30 centimeter diameter circle. And I just mark a spot in the middle. And I take my ruler, it's a 30 centimeter ruler, put 15 in the middle and mark 15 centimeters. And then I just keep doing that around and around and around. This is a really easy way to make a circle when you don't want to use a compass or you don't have a big enough compass. And then I just attach these dots together. And for this purpose, it makes enough of a round shape. And then I make a nice straight line in the middle. And what I'm doing there is making sure that I have a 90. And then I'm just marking for another 90, 45, and dividing. And I have 8 pieces. You can see I didn't do a lot of math there. And I just chose one at random to cut out. Stick a few more pieces of tape down, and I'm going to cut it out. Now you'll see that it's rounded at the bottom. I wouldn't worry about that. It doesn't really matter. So now I've taken another piece of paper and I'm tracing my triangle, and I'm just marking where the bottom of the triangle is and just going straight down. This is an arbitrary measurement. I think it comes out to about 8 centimeters or so. And then I'm folding it in half, making sure I have it. And that's a cheater way to make a line down the middle, which I'm going to need. And then I'm marking out the distance that I talked about and connecting my shoulder to my head size amount and cutting it out. So this doesn't have any seam allowances. So what I need to do next is take another piece of paper and I'm going to trace that. Again, you want to use pencil because, you know, it's better. And then I'm marking my seam allowances. And then I'm marking in my seam allowances. So we know what we're doing. And I'm cutting that out. And making my marks as to what version it is and what it's for. I'm going to show you how to make, when you have no pattern at all, how to make this rounded shape for your crown. So what you need to do is you need to take measuring tape. You take your measuring tape. And about 1 centimeter above your ear, you're going to take the one end, and you're going to stand in front of a mirror, hold it there, and then you're going to find the center top of your head, and you're going to look at the shape that the measuring, see, can I get you in a spot? There you go. So you can look at the shape that the measuring tape makes. The nice thing about the dressmaker's tape is that there's a firmness to it, which you can actually do this. So I'm holding this 1 centimeter above my ear and about the center of my head, and I'm looking at the shape. I'm like, that's too big. Oh, I like that shape. That's a good shape. So marking that, and pull it down. Go, oh, 20 centimeters. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer the 20 centimeters into a straight line on a piece of paper. So now we've got our nice 20 centimeter line on a 90-degree angle. This nice straight here, that's 90 degrees, nice straight line. Now we need to get our measurement for our head. That's at the bottom here. So we're going to take, I've decided on 56, that's my head measurement. So 56 centimeters, we're going to divide that by how many panels? This is a 6-panel hat, so 56 divided by 6 is 9 1/3, 9.33 repeating. And then I'm going to divide that again by 2 because I want the equal amounts on this side and this side, which comes out to 4.667. I marked 4.6, 4.6, and I can you see the marks? There you go. You can see the marks that I did here. And then I'm going to, on one side only, draw the shape I think I want. So as you can see, I drew half of it. completely arbitrary. You can be a little more precise if you want. You can take your measuring tape and you can do this again and you can say, you know what, I think I want my shoulder to be here, and that's 6 centimeters. And what you'll do is you'll measure up 6 centimeters, make a mark, and then you'll go across in a nice 90-degree angle and mark your 6 centimeters across here. And then you can make this line meet that and then come back in. If you would like to be more precise, I'm not that precise. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut out this side and trace it. So as you can see, I just cut it out. It's difficult to be precise with a marker, so that's why I want you guys to use pencil. And then I folded it. I folded it this way, like this. So now I can just trace it. And I don't even have to trace it. You can just, as long as you do a good cutout, you can just cut it out. And you go. Now you need to trace it down on another piece of paper and add your seam allowance. Here I am with a piece of paper. I'm just marking a 90-degree line straight down the middle. I have marked my head size amounts that I figured out. I did an arbitrary curve. I'm folding it in half, cutting out the curve so it's nice and even, and then I'm tracing. I'm adding my seam allowances, like the other one. Adding my seam allowances, matching all those little marks, cutting it all out, and making sure that I mark what version it is, etc. Here it is. Version 1 of the 6-panel hat. I put a little note that I need to times it by 6, so I cut out 6 pieces. And I'm ready to take my test fabric, cut it out, and put it all together and see how it works. I want to see how it fits. I want to see how this shape works. If I want to make any changes to it, I then trace this onto a new piece of paper and make my changes. Lower the shoulder, maybe make it narrower, maybe make this less round. It's entirely up to you how you want the finished product to be. Then you make another test if you need to. And then you make any further changes on version number 3, and so on, until you get a crown shape that you like. I hope that both of these versions of how you can come up with a newsboy without having a previous pattern to work from help you. Yes, it's an enormous amount of fiddling and fussing and testing things and adding to patterns and taking them away and tracing them and make versions upon versions. But in all of the years that I've made hats, I'm often making versions upon versions of something to get it exactly the way I like. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment or like, and I'll see you soon.